Welcome to the Biotech Startups podcast by Exceeder. Join us as we speak with first-time founders, serial entrepreneurs, and experienced investors about the challenges and triumphs of running a biotech startup, from pre-seed to IPO, with your host, John Chi. In our last episode, Jimmy reflected on his international upbringing, creative and rebellious streak, and the path from Pent Bioengineering Labs to a PhD in robotics, where he modelled legged locomotion, optimised control parameters, and learned to teach himself the skills he needed. If you missed it, check out part 1. In part 2, Jimmy talks about the hard lessons of grad school, his move to Silicon Valley, and his time at Willow Garage during the rise of ROS. He also shares how he helped build the first biology cloud lab at Transcriptic Strateos, what it taught him about building fast and staying focused, and why hiring for personal mission matters.
As you reflect back on that experience in your PhD program, were there any memorable challenges or triumphs where you're just like, this is going to be really hard, but you just managed to break through it?
I thought I was good at math when I was in high school. It's okay.
Yeah.
Now I went to grad school, kicking my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still loved applied mechanics, advanced dynamics and controls. That was my interest, but part of my PhD, I also had to take these other classes in fluid dynamics. And that's where I brushed up with the limits of what I can do in partial equations.
Yeah.
But somehow I survived.
Yeah. And sometimes there's two things that stood out to me about that experience. It's one, sometimes you just got to grit through it. There's you just got to grit through it. And there's no glamorous way. You're just you're going to have to grind. But also knowing when you kind of hit your limit I think that's a exercise in self-discovery that I think is important. There are times when you can break through those limits but there are also times when you're just I have reached the limit, and then you see someone else who where that is their thing, and they just keep going. But that's kind of where you have that self-discovery where you're I'm good at this, not so good at this, I'm good at this, I'm not so good at this, I'm excellent at this, I'm terrible at this. And you start to piece together this kind of again, your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And then you start teaming up with people where your weakness is their strength. It's I'm not great at math, but I can, let's work together. I'm yeah, right. So, I love that is something that you kind of learned about yourself through that experience. And as you look back on this experience as well, were there any kind of key lessons or takeaways from your graduate school experience?
Yeah, that I could teach myself what I needed.
Sometimes, yeah.
Both in academic classes, but also engineering skill set wise in the lab.
I love that because I think it's proving it to yourself. You're it kind of builds up that muscle and confidence that, and I think that's another entrepreneurship thing. It's I can even despite the uncertainty, I can figure it out.
Yeah, and this is before AI coding tools.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a book it's called Accelerated C++.
Yeah.
I was I learned this thing.
Yeah. Now you're just oh, I can just vibe code my way through most things.
And if I couldn't figure it out, I just have to reread the page.
Yeah.
Different experience now with AI and and I've been using some AI coding tools. It's super fun.
I'm sure it's a massive unlock now. You're just I just remember doing this is how bad and little experience I have, but it's debugging was absolutely just a terrible experience. I was this sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure now your AI tool will just debug it for you. You're just there's missing missing bracket here
or at least point you to the right place.
Yeah, you're just something is off here versus you're just manually just going through. You're why compile? Oh no,
both like reading software engineering books, but then also like math books.
Yeah.
It was like you read your first couple pages, like I understand this, understand this. Ooh, it's getting difficult. I think I understand it. Oh, this I don't understand. You go back one page. Huh, I don't understand this either.
Yeah.
Right back to the back. I still okay. This doesn't make sense anymore. To go
Yeah.
back and think of all the way from the beginning.
Yeah. And also when you're like, when that happens, they're like, all right, here's a concept. You don't understand it, but everything else builds upon that. You're like, I'm stuck. Like, I'm actually stuck here. This is problematic. And I guess a question for you, like, do you think, these AI tools for like software and whatnot, are they overhyped, underhyped, perfectly hyped? I don't know. I am not a coder or someone who's like well versed in it. Is it like, do you think it's actually as game changing as what I hear in the news?
Oh yeah, in my personal perspective, it is a game changer. Just for me
Okay.
and my like now having gotten back into it after a long time. I'm not like a great software engineer or anything, so I don't think I have a good special opinion on this. Other people have better opinions. But I do wonder if where does it end? We just end up product managers?
Yeah. Exactly. Is it? I mean, just even like even as not like an expert, I mean, just like for you to be like, oh, this is helpful. This is like proper helpful, and that's like signal enough. That's like enough signal. Like you could be like, shake off the rust. It's like, oh, this is great. So very cool. And after you're wrapping up your time in graduate school, do you know what was next after that?
Moving to Silicon Valley and fulfilling I think a vision I had when I was 13.
How did the opportunity to go to Silicon Valley like come up? Did
I,
you just like screw it, packing a backpack, I'm going, or was there a kind of like a opportunity that kind of presented itself and brought you there, or was it something completely different?
Yeah, there was opportunity at a company called Willow Garage, which is a very exciting company in robotics at the time. That I was in Silicon Valley, and so my peer, my mentor Sachin Chita was working there, so he
Oh, cool.
ended up getting me an internship there, and then
Cool.
later I joined as a research associate.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit more about Willow Garage? Like, what is this organization? I am not. I won't pretend to be super familiar. I did a little bit of research, but like it seemed pretty badass.
Oh, it was a very different environment going from academia to Willow Garage. Little things like as a poor graduate student, I'd had to scrounge free pizza every Friday at the
Yeah.
very boring mechanical engineering and applied mechanics seminar, listening to a professor talk about fluid dynamics. And at the end, there was pizza, and you had to attend the whole lecture to be allowed the pizza.
Yeah. I
Uh,
I empathize.
Free pizza. So
Yeah.
and then at Willow Garage, when I was there's like 35 employees, like full-time company, out of which 3 were full-time chefs from high-end hospitality, providing breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Whoa.
So it's, food provided by quasi like personal gourmet chefs.
Whoa. You're just like, is this like you're like, I made it. Like I freaking made it.
Yeah. And then Willow Garage, it was very well funded. It was funded by a billionaire from Google who thought of it as kickstarting the robotics industry. Was the main goal. The main goal wasn't to make money. Well, it was very researchy and very lots of cool academic research went on. Anyways,
very cool. So talk about like this experiences in your internship there. Like, what were your responsibilities? Like, what were you working on?
Yeah, I'll just bundle my internship in my later postdoc research associate work. But I learned the craftsmanship of really like designing and manufacturing various body parts for different humanoids, from like a head, pan tilt head module to grippers and being taught by like engineers from industry, uh, showing me best practices, etc.
How did those industry practices differ from academic practices?
Oh, yeah. In academia, often it's like build the robot, get the video, prove that the math kind of works, write a paper,
Yeah.
you're done, and you go do the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas Willow Garage, they're known for having built a $400,000 humanoid robot that could very slowly fold clothes,
Mm,
but all autonomously. So that was cool.
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there was was it kind of like a more long term kind of like view on the project versus just like let's get this published and then move on.
Yeah, I'd say like in my PhD, it was more about proof of concepts and prove it. It's more about doing something innovative and proving the math. Willow Garage, at least my part of it, I was learning more like proper engineering.
Yep. Yep. And did any of the stuff that at Willow Garage like become commercial, or was it like
Yeah, there's a statistic out there that more than 50% of robots run some kind of ROS package, where ROS is the open source development studio that Willow Garage built.
whoa,
Meaning like human robots or autonomous cars or that kind of stuff.
whoa, like you're like Waymos and like
I don't think it's running in Remo.
okay,
But
yeah.
companies like startups will run on ROS because it's a really nice framework to get
Cool.
started.
Very cool.
And it has a lot of packages for navigation and planning.
Very cool. Like what I guess like coming right out of academia, obviously the having having catered breakfast, lunch, and dinner was like a big surprise. But like, what was the most surprising to you about this like industry role, your first industry role?
Yeah, I would say I really enjoyed the Silicon Valley community, getting to know other like people really passionate about technical projects that would change the world.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I think there is something special about being in Silicon Valley and just like the broader Bay Area that I think it's like, for a moment people thought it lost its luster, but I think there is something about this culture that is, and it's kind of like this flywheel effect too. It attracts the same kind of mindset of like just like this great passion, and that pay it forward mentality, which I think like it just it builds on top of itself.
Yeah, and I think people thinking deeply about impact. I remember about that in Willow Garage. A lot of folks deeply thought about the impact they wanted to have on the world.
Yeah,
and change the world. That seemed like such a
there's it's monumental. And as you're thinking about this internship and your postdoc there, were there any like did you find other folks who took you under their wing as well?
Yeah, there's no one in particular I want to call out from Willow Garage. We
totally cool. I mean, not every kind of like era or phase has that, because it is a rare occurrence. It is a rare occurrence. Like when you find a mentor, it is like hold on to them. Like it's like hold on to them, because they're rare and very hard to come by. And so now you had your internship, you're dipping your toes into industry. You've now done your kind of wrapping up your time at for your postdoc. When did you know it was time to leave Willow?
Yeah, I found an opportunity at this robotic cloud lab, so a company called Transcriptic that was also just starting, started by Max Hodak, who later became president of Neuralink and later started Science Core. But that opportunity let me tie my robotics engineering with my biology background and kind of connect all the dots together.
What was that experience like?
That connection happened through Y Combinator, actually.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he was involved with somehow with Y Combinator, and a friend of mine posted my resume to the internal Y Combinator listserv. So leveraging the Silicon Valley community.
Yep, absolutely. And what were your responsibilities like once you landed that gig?
Yeah, I was the founding one of the founding engineers there. I was like the fourth person. We helped And we ended up building world's first robotic cloud lab. The dream was to let folks from their dorm room write Python and execute biology experiments.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. We built really fast. That's where I learned to build fast. So my first like real startup experience.
Yeah.
And then something like 6 months, we had built a fully automated lab from which you can run very simple biology experiments remotely by writing Python. We built a lot from scratch, probably more than we needed. We even built our own like robotic incubators. But yeah, that was a very fun experience.
And this was Strateos?
Yeah, so Transcriptic later became Strateos, merged with a company called 3Scan. And we ended up later bringing up a big robotic facility with something like 10 different robotic work cells, all connected by magnet motion track for Eli Lilly, designed by others, but we helped bring it up.
Very cool. And, being at the ground floor, like fourth employee, like, can you just talk? Well, I guess maybe just like, what was like when you came in, what was like the mission and focus and North Star for you guys? Like,
yeah, the mission was this dream of enabling folks to write Python
yeah,
and run biology experiments. And the thing that always motivated me was thinking back to my undergrad time.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, let's get rid of this laborious work.
And then thinking back to my PhD work of like automated parameter optimization.
Cool.
To apply building the infrastructure to enable autonomous science for biology.
Very cool. And was that focus, like you mentioned, like working with Eli Lilly, was that your target demographic, like the large pharmas of the world being able to utilize Strateos' technology?
Yeah, I think the one thing we struggled with at Strateos was we were doing so many different things, from cell-based assays to analytical chemistry to synthetic chemistry to synthetic biology, that we were very focused on the infrastructure. And so that's something I took to heart starting.
Makes a lot of sense. And as it sounds like as you're at the ground floor, you're at 4, and you're now, raising money and you're also building a team. Can you talk a little bit about those experiences? Like, maybe let's break it out into its constituent parts. Like, how is like your experience building a team?
Yeah.
And like maybe like, some from tips for anyone who's doing it, like common pitfalls that you should be avoid or like key considerations.
Yeah, I think a lot of the common hiring practices I tried to follow. One thing I do different that might be unique is that I really hone in on people's personal mission. I remember at Willow Garage, people were really thinking about the impact they wanted to have on the world. And so I've spent a lot of time before starting Monomer thinking deeply about my personal mission. And that has come from all these life experiences that we've been talking about, from having commercial life, from leading, and being primed to become an engineer. So really enjoying building tools. And I'll mention that the first memory I ever have of anything in life is my little brother, who was born premature by something like 2 months. And the first memory I have is seeing my little brother in the incubator. And I could tell from like looking at my parents, something was wrong. And later in life, I learned that the doctors thought he wasn't going to make it and suggested turning off the machine. And then my dad, being engineering, he said, well, there's that other option of moving him to a different hospital where they're more aggressive in treatment. So they moved him to that other hospital, and he started recovering, and now he's perfectly healthy human. He's an inch taller than I am, and both him and I like to swim, and he's better. He has better form in the butterfly than I am. So
Yeah.
so that taught me that one, life itself is amazing, but life also is very fragile. And so I could not think of a more important mission than trying to understand how life works.
Absolutely. And I think there's a saying, I don't know who coined it. It's like you need to find missionaries, not mercenaries. It might be
Ah,
a John Doerr of like Kleiner Perkins. I think he might have coined that, but like I agree. Like I think when you're making these key hires, especially when it's like you start at your number 4, you bring another person in, that's 5, that's like 20% of the company. They're going to have outsized influence on where this company is going and how the company operates. So you need to make sure that they're a proper missionary.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I want to know that they're passionate about what they're doing, how they're building out their career. I asked them why did they do what they did, and so it's kind of hone in on that uh, mission statement and kind of try and align
yep,
each other's life missions into this molding this company.
absolutely. And as I'm going to imagine you guys are working on so many things. Like you also probably had to your first foray into like raising capital.
Yeah.
Like, how was that experience?
Yeah, I go through people's experiences and like maybe to tie it back of what I did experience in like college, choosing to do bioengineering partly came from, I'll admit, like late nights hanging out with friends, too many next to a lava lamp, thinking like, wow, this is uh life is amazing. Like these little folds in your hand, like that's really hard for robotics engineers to build, that kind of folding material, but it just has evolved over time. So thinking, wow, living cells are amazing. Uh, so yeah, my mission has come from that experience too, wanting to study living cells, seeing them as the basic building blocks of life. Uh, and then my upbringing, hearing stories from my dad, from ASML and from Philips, wanting to build tools to then explore how living cells work.
Very cool. And it seems like you found that at Strateos. Like there was like a kind of an alignment in mission, like company mission and and
Yeah, it was
personal
funny. At
mission.
Strategy, we automated everything except for cell culture. So when I went to Monomer, like,
Yeah.
cool. I've always been interested in cells, but automate cell culture, and then saw the opportunity in the industry as well. I met my co-founder, and so all the stars kind of seemed to align.
Very cool. And you know, kind of to go back on, as your company is growing, your team is growing at Stratios, like
Yeah.
what was your experience like, you know, scaling that company and raising the capital to scale that company?
Yeah, I think I learned how to build a team, how to work in a very multidisciplinary field from like robotics and biology. And yeah, I learned a lot from going through that startup.
Did you have to also like do like sales as well? Like were they just like did you have to wear a ton of different hats?
There were a ton of different hats. We ended up closing like a couple different like $10 million deals.
Oh,
Uh,
sweet.
like at Ginkgo where we deployed our software, and at Eli Lilly. And I enjoyed being in the room where like a lot of the discussions were happening. I was not the final like person responsible for like closing this, but it was great to be involved in learning that.
Yeah, because I was going to say like the one, those are big deals, and like two, kind of like when you're at a company at the ground floor like that, you tend to just get exposure to
Oh, I see.
all the things, like all the things, and if you come from like a technical background, like sometimes you don't get that experience to do to do sales or be in there for like the deal making, or even the fundraising. So like very cool that you kind of had that ability to kind of experience that. And when you look back on the Stratios, like where again, no worries if not, but were there like kind of like any mentors that showed you the ropes while at Strateos, or was this also kind of a thing where it's like, blaze your own trail? It is like, it is yours.
Yeah, it was a lot of like learning by doing and then getting experience.
Yep.
And then working with the team. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Now, but I mean, it sounds like a pretty sweet gig. Like when did you know it was time to leave?
I had been there for like 6 years, and that's about the time of PhD. So I was getting the itch to do something else.
Yeah. It's like, this is reminding me of my grad experience. I think I need to move.
Yeah. And then a variety of different things, working with various different robotics startups. One was a company called Robotics, which was I look at as any little boy's dream to automate robotic excavation. Those big excavators digging holes. It was a way to play in the sandbox with big robots and scoop up sand. So I felt I had to do that. And then the pandemic happened. And I also worked with a company called Robust AI, which got started by Rodney Brooks, who is the Roomba guy.
Cool.
He founded iRobot, and I look at the Roomba as the world's first commercially successful robot in the home.
Cool.
So I have to get some experience working with Rodney.
What was that like?
A lot of creative prototyping and building different robots. And then I did a bunch of freelancing, and then I got an opportunity to work to freelance with Ginkgo.
Nice.
And at the time, they were building, I think, the largest COVID screening center in the world. It's called the MegaWorks cell. So yeah, that seemed important at the time. So
very cool. And then I think the COVID was an interesting time where like people are exploring different, like very different things that probably wouldn't present themselves normally. It was just like is a different norm at that time. And so you're at Robust, you're at Build Robotics, you're doing some freelancing, and you're working with Ginkgo. Like what? Like after that, like did you know what was the next thing? What's kind of these roles kind of like came to their natural conclusion?
Yeah, those are all kind of short stints. The one Build Robotics, Ginkgo, and Robust AI. And like for us, I really enjoyed being a contractor too during that time. You try lots of different things, and actually a great way to like find your next gig is what I learned.
Yep.
But I think I thought more deeply about, okay, what do I care? What impact do I want to have in the world? What am I uniquely good at? And it got me back to automating science.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from going back to my mission statement, thinking back to my time from when I was 4, seeing my little brother, understanding life is beautiful, but it's also very fragile. Thinking back to my college years, learning cells, realizing cells are the fundamental building blocks of life. And then always being an engineer, and being able to make tools. So now I got back to Monomer, thinking we can build tools to help us understand living cells and how life works.
Very cool. And you mentioned, like, did you meet your co-founder at Strateos?
That's kind of a funny story. During the pandemic, one of the ways to be social, I joined this meetup that my friend organized.
Cool.
Pavel Konov, who is organizing, in hindsight, it's very nerdy, but we read all these HBR case studies.
Cool.
And then we discussed them.
Rad.
Once a month. So
that's not nerdy to me. I think that's cool.
So I like to say we got like a free MBA by other folks interested in entrepreneurship. And yeah, that's where I met Mark Zhang, my co-founder.
Very cool.
That's all for this episode of the Biotech Startups podcast featuring Jimmy Sastra. Join us next time for part 3 of our 4-part series, where we'll hear how Jimmy and his co-founder turned Monomer's early consulting wins into a focused thesis on autonomous cell culture, and why their mission centers on industrializing in vitro models to reduce reliance on animal testing. He'll also break down Monomer's 3 pillars, robotics, software, and biology, share how their work cells have been deployed across startups and big pharma, and explain the go-to-market paths that help teams scale from software-only pilots to full in-lab automation. If you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Thanks for listening. The Biotech Startups podcast is produced by Exceeder. Don't want to miss an episode? Search for the Biotech Startups podcast wherever you get your podcasts and click subscribe. Exceeder provides research labs with equipment leases on founder-friendly terms to support paths to exceptional outcomes. To learn more, visit our website www.exceeder.com. On behalf of the team here at Exceeder, thanks for listening. The Biotech Startups podcast provides general insights into the life science sector through the experiences of its guests. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from the podcast is at the user's own risk. The views expressed by the participants are their own and are not the views of Exceeder or sponsors. No reference to any product, service, or company in the podcast is an endorsement by Exceeder or its guests.